How often today do we hear about the story of plastic? The combination of concerns over what happens with plastic after we use it in the environment. There's a lot of conversations around microplastics in health concerns. And yet, over time, plastic is such an integral part of our society and our economy. Today, we have Dillon Baxter of PlantSwitch. This is an incredible story. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. Dillon and his company have come up with an alternative to plastic, an alternative that is not only good for the environment, fully biodegradable, but it has basically 100% the performance of plastic. We all hate those paper straws, and we're going to talk a lot about paper straws today, but we're also going to talk about the future of the plastic use and how we can improve our world with this new product. It's a very exciting conversation, and I look forward to having it. Dylan, welcome to From the Ground Up. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
So I remember the first time I heard the story about PlantSwitch and what you were trying to accomplish here. And I think my first reaction was, this is too good to be true. A product that is really transformative, right? It's going to change the world. And I know that sounds exaggerated. It sounds hyperbolic, but it's not. It really is. How did you ever come up with this idea to create a biodegradable plastic that really is going to change the environment?
Yeah, so I was working in an investment bank my senior year of college, and I actually had the same reaction. We came across a company that was making a biodegradable polymer and had the fortune of being able to dive into it and cover it. And I was enthralled. I thought, wow, if this is true, this is something that's going to change the future of the entire plastic industry. And was really excited, but the more that I dove into it, the more that I realized that it was so expensive the way that they were doing it, that it was never going to work and it was never going to be a true replacement. And so, um, wanted to, um, you know, not replicate the idea, but come up with something that had the same biodegradable profile, but was also at a price point that was able to be commercialized. And we've successfully done that now, but it definitely was not a linear path to getting there.
It never is. It never is. Well, I think it's a great first point, right? Because you can design great products at a price point that makes them unusable, right? You can even argue some of the other transformative technologies are trying to save the world. Their just price points are so high,
Right.
it's hard to actually implement them into the economy. But you did the opposite. You came up with a way. So backing up, so Plant Switch, you're you come out, you have this idea, you're going to start this business. Talk to us in a little detail. I mean, I touched on it in the introduction. Talk to us about what is PlantSwitch.
Yeah, so at PlantSwitch, we've developed a truly biodegradable alternative to plastic. So, our technology is designed to replace really all types of plastic. Right now, we're focused on food packaging, but the idea is you're going to use a product that feels, functions, and performs like plastic. It's not a paper straw falling apart in your drink. But at the same time, once it enters the environment, it'll biodegrade in as little as 8 weeks if the conditions are right. So, um, no one wants that paper straw,
Oh,
mushing around and ruining. No one wants a salad, a wooden fork in your salad that's giving you a splinter while you eat it.
right.
And so it's important that if you're going to have an alternative, you can't have that drop off on performance, and you're also not paying 5 times as much.
Yeah, I think what do you think, Michelle? We take a poll of about 10,000 people. Would we get one yes on I like paper straws?
I think that would be resounding absolutely not. I'd
Nope.
rather I'd rather not do any of it.
Right. Nobody likes paper straws, but they like what the paper straw is there for, right?
Exactly.
It's
Right.
there to not use plastic and not have plastic sitting around forever. And also part of your development and your research and what you've one of the reasons you developed it, you and I spoke, is also what we're finding out about plastic and
Mhm.
its impact on people. Talk to me about plastic, because one of the things when we spoke prior to getting together today was, plastic has actually been a wild success, right? So
100%.
you're not here to say plastic bad. you're here to say the attributes of plastic are great,
Mhm.
but we have to make it better. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, so I think, it's important not to demonize plastic because it's a very lightweight, very strong material that's allowed us to actually reduce environmental footprint in a lot of ways because of packaging and the way that we can ship things now, the way that we can package food more specifically. And so when you look at how we did it before, it was glass, maybe it was metal, and that's not very efficient. And so there's a lot of really good things about plastic, and that's the reason why it's used in so many different applications in all of our daily lives. But the problem with plastic is that some of the things that make it so great, that toughness, that sturdiness, while still being lightweight, are contributing to some really negative impacts once you get done with the plastic. And that's when a lot of these studies about microplastics are coming to the forefront, and people are realizing that, hey, this seemingly innocent straw or fork that I used for 3 seconds and then threw away, it's lasting in the environment for hundreds, if not thousands of years,
What's incredible.
and it's breaking down into very tiny fragments. So it doesn't really ever go away. It just gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And now they found microplastics in our brain, in our heart, in our reproductive organs, basically everywhere throughout our body. And they're starting to link it to all sorts of things like cancer, brain disease, inflammation, infertility. We're really just starting to scratch the surface of understanding what having all these little tiny plastic particles floating around in our body is doing to us. So a lot of it's still not conclusive, but we need to solve it today, not tomorrow, because I think we can all agree we don't want little plastic particles in our brains and swimming around in our bodies.
No, nobody does. And again, up till the point that you started coming out with these products, the alternative is you mentioned a couple. Paper straw is terrible. Little thin wooden plastic. They're like plastic, but they're little wooden forks,
Mhm.
etc. You talk about performance, right? And not everybody thinks about performance in terms of how a fork and a knife work at a restaurant, or not a restaurant like a fine restaurant, but let's say a fast food restaurant or something of that nature. Um, Talk to me about performance, and that's really the challenge, right? Coming up with a product that acts like plastic.
Yeah, so I think at this point, everyone wants to use something other than plastic. And
Right.
if it was that simple, everyone would, right? But the question is, if not plastic, then what? And historically, if you had wanted to make an eco-friendly choice as a restaurant, you're stuck with using a paper straw, which everyone's going to hate, and you're still paying 3 times as much for.
Hmm.
Or you're trying to use like a fiber alternative where you've had those fiber bowls probably for
Right.
takeout, everything seeps through the bottom and gets all,
Right.
gross and moldy.
Right.
And so there really has never been an alternative to plastic that is as functional, but also not breaking the bank, and then is also truly sustainable, meaning it when you get rid of it, it actually does go away. There's been a lot of greenwashing for the plastic alternatives. And so we designed our technology with those three core principles in mind. And we felt that if you're going to create not just another alternative, but a solution to plastic, that's what it has to be. And we feel that we've done that today.
So you came out and you're doing like forks and knives and spoons, where that's how you get going.
Mhm.
What is it? How'd you come up with it? What is the technology, and how is it better? Talk me through the actual performance of it in use, and then also after you're done using it.
We have is a bio-based and biodegradable polymer that functions like plastic and can be manufactured like plastic. So the way that we do it, and we're not the first people to ever come up with the biodegradable polymer, but what we've done is we've been able to manufacture it in a way that's much less expensive because we use waste inputs like rice husks.
Hmm.
So the process in a nutshell, you have bacteria, you feed it a food source, it metabolizes that food source, and it secretes a polymer, which you can see here this is our PlantSwitch Compost Zero polymer. So these are little pellets. If you're a manufacturer of plastic products, instead of buying plastic pellets, you can buy these pellets, drop them into your existing equipment, and you can make anything from I'll show you this resin that we have. You can make anything from the forks, knives, and spoons that we have today to the coffee cup lids and containers and trays and all sorts of really unique products that we have coming out for food packaging throughout the rest of this year. So,
Can I see the coffee cup lid?
yeah, of course.
Yeah, thanks. Wow. And so this, I mean, this is feels exactly like a regular coffee cup lid.
That's right. Yeah.
Doesn't
So
it's not, it's not falling apart in your hands. It's not like the paper ones. And so how fast does this go away as opposed to plastic at 1,000 years and still hangs around? How fast does this completely decompose?
so in ideal conditions, as little as 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Hmm.
Wow. So we could take plastic, use plastic, which everyone has used and worried about the moment they throw it away, and in 8 weeks it's just gone.
That's right.
That's
With
amazing.
no microplastics.
That is incredible. That is incredible. And the key here, and I think from a business standpoint, it's not just developing it, it's making it affordable. I didn't realize plastic straws are 3 times the cost,
Mhm.
right? Which means not only does no customer wanna use them, but no business wants to put them out either. So there's an obligation issue here.
Mhm.
And so how about these straws relative to those?
So our straws, our products are a little, probably at a 50 to 60% premium right now. Over time, we'll be able to bring that down and get closer and closer to parity. But yeah, to your point, that's been the problem with any plastic alternative. It's cost.
Mhm.
You don't, if you want to make the sustainable choice, you're also making the more expensive choice and you're also making the lesser quality choice. And we wanted to change that.
Yeah, it seems like there's like an unlimited use here, right? Once you start making the products, right? Whatever's plastic you can do.
That's right, and the hard part for us is actually staying focused
Right,
because,
right.
we get inbound inquiries every single day of,
Yeah.
"Can you do this? Can you do that?" We wanna make airplane parts, we wanna make storage containers, we wanna make anything that you can think of,
Right.
and we're a startup, so,
Yeah.
we have, limited time and resources, and so for us, we decided that, "Okay, we're gonna focus on this low-hanging fruit. Let's really execute on making good forks, knives, spoons, and straws.
Right.
Then let's do other types of food packaging where
Right.
we have the existing customers. And then 10 years down the line, yeah, we're gonna have divisions in all sorts of industries where we're making all sorts of
Yeah, you
products,
you
but
brought a razor, right?
yeah, yeah. So this is a razor made from our material. Example of a cool, more CPG type product that we can do. So we have some development projects that are going on, but again, we you can't be everything to everyone when you're getting started, and we want to execute on food packaging and make our name in the food packaging space. And then as we grow and mature, we'll be able to allocate resources to
Yeah.
other types of products.
It's just it's incredible, and so you've done 2 things here. You've come up with a solution. So from an entrepreneur standpoint, you came up with a solution to fix just a gigantic problem,
Mhm.
right? You did it in a high performance, low cost way, right? That solves the problem. How's it going?
It's going really well. So I kind of said earlier, everyone wants an alternative to plastic.
Right,
It's just, what do you use?
right.
And so when we're going into these conversations with Walmart, who's one of our biggest customers right now, or Taylor Farms, another one of our largest customers and the largest produce company in the world, they are all saying, look, we've already decided that we're not going to use plastic, but we're here, banging our heads against the wall trying to find a solution. And so when we get introduced to them and they are able to hold the product in their hand, we quote them and they're like, oh my God, this is actually something that's going to work commercially for us.
Right.
And so it's been an amazing reception. We're working with most of the leaders in food service and hospitality right now with launches throughout the rest of the year with them. And I think the sky's the limit as to what this can do. And for us, it's, let's find the right partners, let's get to market with them, let's execute, and then let's build, I think, what's going to be a real game changer in this plastic industry.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about it. So Walmart's pretty big.
Yeah,
Yeah,
retailer out of Bentonville.
they're pretty big. They tend to use a lot of product. So, how long has the product been actually in use?
So we launched in September of last year,
Okay.
and that was with Walmart, with Taylor Farms, and then Ready Pack, another salad company. We're onboarding Kava right now, which we're super excited about.
Mhm.
Really great, fast casual lunch if you like
Yeah,
Mediterranean.
right.
So
Yeah, I sure do.
it's a good one. We've
You don't
got
have to
it.
notice the color of my skin here.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Exactly, exactly. So, and then we have some other really major launches throughout the rest of this year that we're really excited about. One that I can talk about is a partnership with a really large food service distributor, an Imperial Dade. So they're
Okay.
one of the biggest distributors in the
Sure.
country, and we'll be, getting stocked in a lot of their warehouses across the country, which we're really excited about. And then some of the more name brand players in food service, again, can't quite disclose that,
Understood.
but it's
Understood.
going to be a really exciting year
So
for us.
there's a lot happening.
There's a lot happening.
There's a lot
Yeah,
happening.
yeah.
And how long do you think before, I go in and buy 50 plastic forks, knives, spoons, how long before that this is just a product you go buy off the shelf
We're actually on the shelves of Whole Food.
at Whole Foods?
Yeah. So if you go to Whole Foods, we have a brand that we manufacture for called Repurpose. So go check it out. You can, if you want to have these at your party and be more sustainable, then
Yeah.
we're right there.
That's awesome. By the way, everybody, if you go to Whole Foods and buy, just say Verdance when you're checking out.
That's right.
We get one free fork for every package sold.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
We didn't cut that deal yet, but we will.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll work it on the back end. Yeah.
So, okay, this is crazy, right? It's an incredible product. It's super fast growth. You just started up about a year ago. Performance is obviously good, right? Because you're getting some big players coming.
Hmm.
Um, from a leadership standpoint, right? You went from college golfer, right? You played at SMU,
That's right.
so you're a pretty good stick.
Pony up.
Pony up. And so you learned a lot in the game of golf. For golfers, for non-golfers out there, right? How to control emotion, how to be analytical in competitive situations, etc. You go into investment banking. That's a grind. That's a lot of demand. And now you're in the startup. So those are three pretty different worlds. So can you talk to me about the transition and what did you take from each one as you were going through that helps you manage your moment today? Because what you're managing here is not easy, right? We talk about this all the time. People are like, oh, it's an overnight success. There's so much that goes into this to get to a moment where you can take advantage of this moment for you. Walk me through that, your background and how all this blends in to get you to this moment.
Yeah, I have to give a ton of credit to golf. I think the lessons that you learn in golf are transferable across all aspects of life, but I feel like there's a ton of parallels to entrepreneurship. So when you're a golfer, you're self-managed, right? You may have a coach, but the majority of your day to day is you just having to figure out what you need to do on your own and having that sense of independence about you. And all the other things, controlling emotions and being analytical, like you mentioned, translate as well. But I think another huge thing about golf is the exposure from a really young age to really successful and older people and really being able to learn from them. I'd
Yeah.
say that all of the mentors that I have, I've met through golf. A lot of the investors that I've had, I've met through golf. And you learn a lot about someone when you play golf with them, I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, I think without golf, I wouldn't be where I was today, without a doubt. I mean, I wouldn't have been at SMU. I wouldn't have met the people that I met. I wouldn't have met my co-founder,
Mhm.
my mentors, a lot of my early stage investors. And so golf has been a huge part of my life and a reason for any of the success that we've had. And then investment banking, I think, taught me a completely different skill set. And so that's, a more technical one where I got to really understand the ins and outs and the numbers of a business and also how to stay organized, which hasn't always been my strong suit. I like to I'm a bit of a wild card sometimes,
Okay.
but it
That's
helped,
all right.
it helped me really, really get more organized there and to, get into a really high intensity work environment, which a startup is, right? And so I think I don't have a ton of professional background by any means. I started this company when I was a senior in college, and so it's been a huge learning curve having to go from quickly doing everything yourself to actually bringing on really talented and smart people that you have to manage, even though they might be 20, 30 years your senior. That's a little bit of a weird feeling, but I
Sure.
think golf really helped me with that, just being more comfortable in that. And so yeah, it's every day I feel like there's a new challenge and that's part of the fun. You can never master entrepreneurship the same way that you can never master golf.
Right. Right. That's fascinating. Started your senior year of college.
That's right.
Yeah, that's incredible. That's great. But it also goes to show, right? If you have the right idea,
Mhm.
and you have the right frame of mind and you put in the work. I think the key to your story, what I hear, you said mentor multiple times, right? You talk about the people around you, and I think that especially for a young entrepreneur,
Mm,
right? Open eyes, open ears, so that you can absorb and learn lessons faster,
mhm.
right? Listen, every entrepreneur has to fail along the way,
It's the
and
best thing you can do sometimes.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, and Lord knows it's what, again, take away from golf, right? Golf is a series of failures that you barely get over, right? So
I mean, you fail the best players in the world fail technically 98% of the time, and that's a great career, you know?
right, right,
So
right. So if it's, then that prepares you, but there's also lessons you can learn by not failing, and that's listening,
mm,
right? That's having mentors. That's picking up tips along the way. It seems like you've got a good crew around you.
absolutely. I mean, I've had the good fortune, and a lot of them are through the SMU Golf and golf adjacent network
Right.
that I've been able to meet some amazing entrepreneurs. You know, when we were in Dallas, we had a great ecosystem of 30s, 40s, even 50s entrepreneurs that were really kind to us with their time and
Right.
really helped us navigate the ups and downs of the startup world, and
Yeah.
that I still talk to on a very regular basis and get advice from. So,
Yeah.
um, I mean, yeah, I've done a lot of dumb things and they've kind of helped me out of those dumb things. And
Nice.
you know, it's a luxury to have the ability to talk to someone that has done the same thing that you're going through
Yeah.
20 times.
Yeah, that's great. By the way, did you hear that, Michelle? Even 50s, even some those old sons of a gun.
Yeah, they got a little snow on the roof, do they?
Yeah,
But
those
so
yeah, those stuff. Those 50-year-olds. That's funny. So, okay, so now, um, you're at an inflection point in the
Hmm.
business, right? Things are so now it's a little different. The proof of concept has happened,
Right. Yep.
and now it's about, okay, I've got demand. I have to manage. I have to manage a whole lot of other things. This is not go tell the story and get people to believe.
Hmm.
Or you're past that. So now, as a leader, as a CEO, you're transitioning to something different now,
Yes.
right? Which is managing and operating at a very high level to maximize the return on your business. So how's that transition going? Because
It
this is important. There's a lot of young entrepreneurs out there, right? And they're, this is we like to talk to different levels of entrepreneurs. There's a lot of young entrepreneurs, and your story is going to resonate with them.
Mhm,
But this transition is probably where people don't realize this is where businesses go
mhm.
straight up in the air or go sideways and have to sell off and get help. But you're executing at a high level. Talk to me through that transition.
Well, it's tough because it feels like the transition just happened like that, you know? And all of a sudden, you go from a point where you're selling the story, you're selling the dream, you're raising capital, you're
Right.
convincing customers that, you have the full ability to execute on these large contracts when you've never done it before, right?
Right.
And you go from this phase of everything that you do is wearing every single hat, trying to make everything happen, hustling every day, selling dreams to all of a sudden, okay, people have bought the dream and now we have to deliver the dream.
Right.
And you start delivering the dream and putting the right people in the right places. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm not wearing all the hats anymore, right? That's not my job. My job is to bring in people that are going to be better at wearing that hat than I would have. And so it's a very rapid change into something that's completely different. Also, stop not raising capital anymore is a
Right.
very weird feeling, because that was pretty much perpetual for the first few years of the business.
Yeah. Every startup's issue, right?
Yeah, and so now we're in a, well-capitalized position, and we've got a true leadership team of folks that are really talented, and my job is now, okay, let's make sure that I'm removing any roadblocks for them, setting them up for success, really just not getting in their way. And it's hard because when you're the driver and you feel like you're the individual contributor for so long, especially as a golfer where it's all individual contribution, having to make that mental shift from like, actually, the more that I try to contribute individually, the more I typically am now getting in the way, and
Right.
so you
Right.
you kind of have that, like, sense of, like, losing your self-worth
Yeah.
of, "I used to do that, and now he's better than me, huh?" You know?
Yeah.
So
Well, you just hit on something very important for successful businesses. And it's something every entrepreneur goes through when they transition to the next level, right? And you just said, you're wise beyond your years because you've identified a handful of things I think startup entrepreneurs struggle with,
Mhm.
right? One is is misidentifying who they are,
Mhm.
right? My identity isn't me operating all the different functions and being, able to do that. When we started Verdance, I was running portfolios. I was the portfolio manager for years when I was at Merrill and Hightower. And one of the things we decided early on was if we're going to be successful and go to the next level, right, I have to make a decision. Either I'm a portfolio manager or I'm a CEO.
Mm.
Because if I try to do both, I won't be great at either. Right? And get out of the way.
Mhm.
Go manage the business and put really smart people who do it better than I in a more diversified way so the business can grow. You did the same thing. Get
Mhm.
out of the way. Identify. Your identity is that business's success, not the operations of the business. You've identified that early. So I think that's very powerful. And it's what a lot of entrepreneurs transitioning to the next stage of growth struggle with, right?
Mhm.
Is what they actually identify as them.
I think identifying it and then being good at it are 2 very different things as well,
Sure,
right? And so,
sure.
I feel like I'm probably going on 6 to 9 months of that being more of my role, so I think it's ignorant to say that I'm really good at it yet.
Right,
But it's just kind of relishing that new challenge,
right.
and it's a whole different mindset. It's a whole different skill set. Um, it takes a lot more of, an emotional intelligence than just being an individual contributor, I think, and so
Right.
just trying to learn as much as I can, trying to continue to get better at that. Um, and I think that's the really fun part about being an entrepreneur is that you always do have that new challenge. Like as soon as you feel like you may have mastered a certain part of the business, then you no longer get to even do that part of the business. And so, that's one of the things I really love about what I get to do.
Yeah, we so I will tell you over time I've struggled with that at different points in my career. And if you look at our company today, we have an executive management team and being someone who's always, I'm a doer.
Hmm.
Um, it's interesting, right? To turn it over to people and say, this is yours.
Hmm.
Just go be great at this and that'll help our business. To the point now where I'm, and Michelle is our chief marketing officer will confirm my instinct is to micromanage everything,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
But when Michelle will come in to me or someone else will come in and say, "Hey, I want you to look all this over," and I say, "I don't want to look at it,"
Hmm.
right? Because I don't want to fall back into that. I want these folks to manage their world because that's their talent. And it is a really interesting transition.
It's also part of having to get comfortable of letting people make mistakes.
Yeah.
There are times when, people will say, "Hey, I have this idea," and you may know that that's not the right idea, but they're not really gonna believe it unless they try it and then they fail and
Yeah.
then they learn from it. And so, really hard to get out of the way when something like that happens. And, it's just part of it. It's kind of eliminating your own ego and just saying, "Okay, I trust this person. I'm gonna let them grow on their own," and it's not
Yeah.
it's not supernatural though.
No, it's very true. Michelle and I had that circumstance, right? When we were naming Verdant, she wanted to call it Super Awesome Capital Management,
Oh, you messed up. You shoulda
and
let them
Yeah, we missed that opportunity. So for anyone out there who wants the name, it's available.
but I had to let her run with it for a while. So funny. So, okay, where's this going? I'm sure. So one of the challenges in the in between phase,
Mhm.
right? And as an executive, but a young executive, you've executed really well here through this process, right? You did raise capital, you did sell the dream. You're starting to execute on the actual manufacturing, but being the leader
Yes.
is about vision,
Mhm.
right? It's being strategic and it's about vision. And I would tell you that over time, you have to distance yourself further and further away from operations, right? Which is about having the right people. So as you think about vision, this is This is pretty incredible. Okay, so, walk me through that SWOT. What is the opportunities, and what do you see? What are you managing? Where are your concerns, and what's your big picture vision? Because you've got something pretty incredible here.
Well, thank you, first of all. But the vision is to become the leader in green plastics. And, you know, starting with forks, knives, spoons, straws, right? It may not seem like that, but the potential for this is that we can be in almost every industry that plastic is currently in.
Mhm.
And, when I think about what this is going to be 20, 30 years from now, that's what I believe it will be. I think that we are going to have our technology and our resins used in almost every major plastic using industry across the world. And our way that we enable that is that we continually drive down our cost. And so the goal is that we reach price parity with plastic. And I think when and if we reach that in the future, this becomes a complete no-brainer, right?
Sure.
Everyone's going to use this if there's not a price premium associated with it. And so I think that for us, in order to get there, it's just being really intentional about the products and the markets that we choose along the way. I think we've done a great job
Mhm.
identifying this low-hanging fruit with food packaging,
Right.
where you mentioned performance, right? If you have a little drop in a performance on a fork, that's not so big of a deal. But when you're talking about a part for a car or an airplane, that's a really big deal.
Yeah, sure.
And so trying to identify these lower complexity, ease of access to market products and industries that we can attack and get really good at, and then just climb that ladder as we scale, I think that that's the way that we'll be successful.
Yeah. So you've got a huge opportunity at price point today.
hmm
The opportunity at parity is staggering.
It's basically limitless,
Yeah,
right? I mean,
it's
it's a 600 billion-ish dollar industry. And if you have a green alternative at a similar price point,
it's huge. So you've gotta be getting noticed by the plastic companies.
a little bit, a little bit.
And and so what's that like?
Um, Really for them, they're all just looking to see who's going to be the next green winner, right? And then they're going to try to buy it.
Right,
So it's all good conversations. They're excited. They want to see us win. They want to see us succeed. And then they want to, just bolt us onto their existing
sure.
$50 billion portfolio.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. I got it. Wow, that's all very, very incredible. Very incredible. So, okay, so over 2025, 2026, in the current run you have, how long is that before you start going into the other industries, do you think?
I think we have a full year of executing on food packaging. Um, There are some other opportunities where we have such strong pull through and it does meet the low complexity, ease of entry criteria that we can
Right.
probably get a few products outside of food packaging going in the next 12 to 24 months.
Mhm.
Again, the hard part is just being selective because there's all these great ideas, but you just don't understand even what goes into making a fork well until you do it. There's so much.
Right,
And you just would never think about all of the things that go into making a good fork.
right.
And so
That's
people
incredible.
people come to you and they're like, "Oh, we just do this or do a razor." But you don't understand all the complexity that goes into a razor. Like it's actually crazy.
Right.
And so yeah, I think that there's a few products that I can think of that we're probably going to have in the market in 2026 outside of food packaging, but again, it's hard to say no all the time, but I
Right.
think it's the most important thing that we can do right now.
So you talked about what you talked about. So we're going to go in these other industries. Yeah, you're right. This razor. I mean, just this little mechanism here,
Mhm.
right? Made all out of these little tiny plastic pieces. I mean, I can only imagine the complexity of that. Um, so let's say you're right. You've been right so far, but let's say you're right. Let's say razors are made from your product and a thousand other products, and you're starting to hit that. Is there an Can you keep up with that from a material standpoint?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, walk
So
me through that.
yeah.
Okay.
So we utilize agricultural residues as our inputs. So every year, there's upwards of 1 trillion pounds of agricultural residues generated across the globe. And right now, there's very little use for them. Most of them get incinerated, they get landfilled. They're kind of a waste issue in and of themselves, but they're rich in a lot of the things that are necessary for our process, like cellulose. And so there's basically under any realistic forecast, I mean, we're not going to have any sort of supply constraint for the next 5 decades.
Mm.
So I really don't envision that that's going to be an issue.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty impressive. So we take a problem of getting rid of waste that is just filling up landfills, solving the plastic problems. We have unlimited resource, and a 50-year supply. I think that's a good business plan.
Should be. See if I'm right.
Yeah, and I have a question for you too, Dylan, and we're going to play a little game, and it's called Best and Worst. So as an entrepreneur, and first of all, I'm so proud of you. I'm just sitting here like beaming with pride on what you've been able to accomplish, and certainly for a full career, start to finish, you've accomplished more than many people do in a lifetime. So congratulations on that. But so we're going to play Best and Worst.
Okay.
So best thing that happened when you knew, like, yes, I have arrived, and the worst thing, like, oh no, I think I may have just fumbled the ball and I don't know, what is it in the golf term, a bogey, or what would a bad?
Yeah. You hit one out of bounds.
There we go. When did you hit one out of bounds?
OB.
Man, I've hit a lot of them out of bounds. Probably easier to think of those. I'd say the moment that it really felt like we had arrived was when we delivered the first container to Walmart in Taylor Farms. I think that was when it really felt like, okay, like we have our feet underneath us now, and we're running, right?
Yeah.
We had such a crazy situation with that. We won the contract. We had a very small amount of time to deliver on that contract, and we basically got our own manufacturing facility up and running in China in 60 days, and then produced and delivered on time. So
That's incredible.
it was crazy. We, you know, we didn't oversell what we could do, but we were
Yeah.
we gave a very tight
You
timeline, and we executed.
Yeah, and it was interesting the way you phrased that. You said when we delivered Walmart. It wasn't like when we got the contract. Yes, we got it was like, oh no.
Well, once you get it, there's a whole set of different problems. You're like,
Right.
oh, I actually have to do it now.
Right.
And so when we actually did it and pulled it off, that was when it was like, okay, we're going now.
That happens all the time. When we talk to entrepreneurs, it happens all the time. I can't tell how many times we have people come in and the moment that the world thought, "Oh, they've got it made now, right? They look at that. These guys are rich,"
Mhm.
was the hardest moment
Yeah.
of their entrepreneurial career, right? Because they looked at the success and said, "How are we gonna do this? What do we do now?"
Yeah.
And that's you got the contract, and you're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
we gotta go do this."
Yeah. So then less fun, the worst moment. And we actually, Inc. magazine actually did a feature about this and it happened. We were raising capital. This was a couple years ago. So this was well before we were signing up companies like Walmart. We were still in the research and development phase, doing trials, trying to validate it, get it ready to take to market. And so, raising capital is very kind of conceptual. You're not saying, hey, I have this customer and I have this revenue and just give me money on this valuation. It's
That's what seed capital is.
here's the dream.
Yeah.
Please keep giving me money so that I can pay all these really smart people to keep figuring this dream out. And we had a term sheet with a new investment fund for early stage. And it was a good term sheet. We were really happy about it. Everything seemed super legit and we were ready to go. And then a week goes by, nothing happens. 2 weeks go by, nothing's still happening. Everything's fine, but nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden you start sort of hearing, oh, everything may not be fine. Basically, the funding that this firm was supposed to have didn't come through. And so they didn't have the capital to allocate to us. And so this put us in a really bad situation. We had assumed that this capital was coming in, so we had basically stopped going to other people in fundraising. We had made a bunch of commitments to get, new equipment for our research and development facility and, people that we were supposed to onboard, new employees. And we ended up in a situation where $8 million overnight wasn't there. And we had to, we basically had a month and a half to figure it out before we had to turn the lights off.
Wow.
And so, Yeah, not a good situation. Thankfully, we mentors came in really handy there, and they helped me basically figure out how to structure something that's more of an emergency financing like that. And we had some good support from our existing investors, which allowed us to kind of keep the lights on. And then we actually ended up getting the full round done with different investors. And so we came out on the other side of it. But I mean, it was very real. We were staring down death, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
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 It's a great story, and there's a consistency in your story, and that's you passionate about the dream, right? So
Hmm.
overcome. Your capital source runs away. Just okay. We're
Hmm.
not giving up on this dream. Overcome that.
Hmm.
You get the order coming. You didn't overpromise. You max promised, right? But
Exactly.
overcome. What's the biggest challenge today? Especially now, tariffs and everything
Well,
that's going on. I mean, is that impacting you?
yeah, it is. Our team is, I think, really good there. And so we do have, I'm viewing it as an opportunity, not as much as a difficulty. 95% of the food packaging industry is currently in China. We're currently diversifying to our facility in Malaysia. We also have a facility in Thailand that we're going to be launching in the not too distant future. And so that actually provides more opportunity for us than it is a short term, you know, danger, I'd say.
Hmm.
Um, but I think the biggest challenge for us right now is maintaining focus. It's really hard to constantly say no when you have all these people coming to you with seemingly great ideas and you want to do everything.
Right.
You want to be everything to everyone. You're looking and you're like, that's a $20 million contract if we pull it off. How can I say no to that?
Right.
But you also have to be realistic that I can't put 20 different projects in my product development team. I can't do that to operations. We couldn't deliver on that. And so we have good customers. We have great launches scheduled. Just get those done. Be patient. I'm not a naturally very patient person, as anyone that knows me will say. And so that's hard, you know?
Right. Yeah, the temptation is just go out and get a whole bunch of capital and,
Yeah.
go crazy, but
I,
that
s-
that changes the game instantly, right?
it's also, you see that fail over and over
That's
and
right.
over. And it's easy too, because we're in a position now where I think we could go get quite a bit of capital. And it wouldn't be super difficult. And so the temptation is really strong to go and do that. But again, you just see time and time again, startups try to do that and they fail. There's a good quote, I don't remember who it was, but they said the one advantage that you have as a startup over any incumbent is focus.
That's right.
They have more resources, they have great people, they have existing customers, they have you beat by pretty much everything except focus. And so
Yeah.
you can't lose that.
Wow. That's incredible. That is tremendous insight, from a young executive, but a rapidly developing executive. So, um, Dylan, this has been great. I mean, this is an exciting story,
Thank you.
and I'm really excited for you. Looking forward to watching this. And full disclosure, I'm an investor.
Thank you.
When I heard this story originally, I said, I need to know more about this. And so we do a lot of private investing, a lot. We do as a company. I do personally.
Hmm.
There's 1,000 stories that sound like this,
Hmm.
right? Where you say, oh, wow, that's so cool. I should just throw money at it. When you dig through the diligence of these types, your company, your type of investment, so many things end it for us as investors. So many things. Like the dream is bigger than reality. The execution is near impossible to the point you made, right? Could I make a plastic alternative that performs for 7 times the cost? Sure. Can I do it at a reasonable cost that's marketable? Harder. And where we really struggle with is leadership, right? Is leadership capable? And when we looked at the story, you checked all the boxes. And so we're really excited about being involved with you. This story is amazing, and I'm looking forward to sharing it. How about you, Michelle?
I Yeah, I wanna be an investor too, so maybe you can sell fractional shares of
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Uh, well, this was fun. Thank you for coming in. An incredible story. PlantSwitch. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on From the Ground Up. This has been a great conversation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you look forward to using PlantSwitch forks, knives, straws, razors, sunglasses, who knows what,
airplane parts.
airplane parts, and we're really really grateful for Dillon coming in and telling the story. Oh, and Michelle,
You almost forgot this time. From the ground up.fm.
from the ground up,
Use your best radio voice.
yeah, from the ground up.fm. Like us, subscribe to us, hit the alarm bell. We're also on YouTube and Spotify.
Yeah, and real quick, Dillon, if people want to look up your company, what is the website that they can go to?
PlantSwitch.com. Pretty simple. Please give us a follow on LinkedIn, PlantSwitch. It's where we typically kind of release our updates with new products and everything. But yeah, we appreciate anyone that's joining us along the journey. So really appreciate the belief and the investment and having me here today to discuss a little bit more about it. And we're really excited about what we're building and what we think the future of this technology and industry is. And really thankful to have partners like yourself along the way.
Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.